I think we can start the webinar. So without further ado, let me just introduce myself. My name is Pei Shan. I'm actually the digital marketing lead in JobStreet Singapore. And today we actually have Carrie Chen with us. She's actually the Associate Director for Marketing, and she's from actually the Azalea Investment Management company. So Carrie is actually a very, very experienced and passionate marketer. She has had a long career working across different industries, finance, telecommunications, as well as online marketplace sectors as well. So she has had a lot of experience building up high performance teams, uplifting the digital capabilities within different organizations. So very happy to have you today, Carrie. Thank you for gracing us with your presence for this webinar.
Thanks for having me, Pei Shan. Happy to be sharing my experience in digital marketing with the participants today.
Yeah. Okay, so I saw that someone has raised their hand. So some housekeeping before we go into the questions, right? If you have any questions, please raise your questions in the Q&A session. Do note that we'll be taking the questions afterwards in the final, perhaps half of the webinar. So we'll be asking Carrie some questions. She will share. But as and when you have any questions, put it into a Q&A and we'll take it later on in the later part of the webinar. This session is also recorded, as you can see. So if you want to refer to it later on, you can reach out to us as well. We'll be able to provide the link of the recording to you. Last but not least, we actually do have some incentives for you guys in terms of a Grab food voucher at the end of the webinar, if you help us to complete a small survey at the end. So yeah, I think I am done with the housekeeping. So I will actually go into asking Carrie the questions. No, let's not keep her waiting for too long. I'm sure you guys are excited to hear what she has to share as well. Okay. So Carrie, I think firstly, of course, the question here will obviously be what motivated you to actually pursue a career in this digital marketing domain? Especially within the fintech industry, which is so specialized, right? Was there a particular moment that actually influenced this decision for you to go into the fintech sector to do digital marketing?
I guess, everyone has their own career journey, right, into digital marketing. And mine was quite unconventional because my first job was in finance, actually. So after working 3 years in it, I decided to pursue an MBA. And during business school, I gravitated towards marketing courses. The business school coursework involved a lot of case studies, right? So from these case studies, I was always fascinated by how companies was able to use different levers like channels, pricing, product features to influence consumers' purchasing decisions. So that was kind of what drove me into marketing, and I majored in that. So one caveat is in business school at that time, they did not teach digital marketing in the curriculum. So my idea of what marketing constituted was largely based on, traditional marketing theories, right? Like the 4 Ps. So I would say my graduation from business school coincided with the time where digital marketing was emerging due to, the growth in mobile internet, the change in media consumption habits. So the company I worked for after business school was an online classifieds business. So today it is known as the Southeast Asian unicorn called Carousel. So, as you can imagine, a digital native business that needs to grow its user base would naturally allocate the majority of our marketing budget into digital. So that kickstarted my hands-on, practical learning experience on the job in digital marketing. So I would say it was, to me, it was definitely a very exciting time to be in that field. And it still is, So back then, this digital marketing was very new to people in operating in our region, right, in Asia. And EdTech and MarTech were also evolving very quickly and still are. So I think, this was definitely more interesting than traditional marketing that I had learned in school. So since then, I've done digital marketing in different sectors, including telecom and financial institutions. I would say I've always been drawn to innovation, right? And industries that are user-centric. So they all utilize common levers, such as search engine optimization, SEM, social media, email marketing, etc., to move the needle. But however, I would say now that I'm in fintech, right? So I think in fintech, there's more emphasis on consumer education about the technology and much more focus on removing user pain points, right? That come with like legacy institutions, like when you think of banks, right? So, and so that's what motivates me in the fintech industry and, of course, in digital marketing.
Okay, thanks, Carrie, for sharing. So you mentioned that, fresh out of business school back then, it was an emerging skill, right? Digital marketing. And plus, fintech or finance as an industry, the target audience that we know, they have a diverse level of financial literacy. So how do you actually, what are some of the challenges that you have actually encountered in the fintech industry? How do you overcome them to actually reach your marketing objectives? And in terms of how do you actually effectively communicate, this very complex, non-layman, financial terms that you see in the fintech industry, how do you convey them to the layman audience actually?
Yeah, so yes, you rightly pointed out that there's varying degrees of knowledge in finance, right? Across, the customer segment. So in essence, I think this involves simplifying like very complex ideas without losing the meaning and using very relatable examples and leveraging various content formats to cater to the different learning or preferences, right, of the different segments. So maybe if I can draw from my experience. So I actually contributed some content to Endow Us in the past. So I've written financial literacy articles. And I think, some of you may know, right, what Endow Us is. It's known for its wealth management platform. It offers access to funds and financial advice at low fees. So the audience could range from novice investors to like more seasoned ones. So three key things, I think, three key strategies that I would call out is the simplification and educating. So you need to create a lot of content, right, to educate people on importance of investment and personal finance. So for novice investors, what Endow Us did and what in my articles, I try to break down investment principles into very simple and understandable terms, right? And and while I only focus on like the web articles, I see the Endow Us team has also leveraged on various content formats, right? Such as webinars, such as some videos. They even have conferences, right? To keep on reaching out to different audiences through different channels. And I think the second key thing is to use relatable examples, right? Like in my writing, if a financial concept is rather complex, they break them down into something more tangible, right? Maybe you can use an everyday example. For instance, if you're talking about concepts of diversification of portfolio, then you can compare it with something relatable, like, putting your eggs in one basket, that kind of, to illustrate the point, right? And another example is like impact of fees on investment returns. And you can compare that with how, the small leaks can sink a big ship over time, something that people can visualize, right? Then I think the third thing that Endawas does quite well is also sharing of like customer stories. I think they have a lot of influencers and well-known personalities, right, to share success stories or testimonials of their personal finance journey, to kind of demystify a bit this investment process and show some real life applications, right? So currently in Azalea, some of you may know Azalea is part of the Temasek ecosystem. So Azalea focuses on private equity investments, so private equity fund or funds, and we're always trying to broaden access to private equity. Because traditionally this is only the institutional and high net worth people can access private equity. So we're trying to develop products that cater to a wider audience, right? Like retail. So again, because we are catering to different segments, so right now I'm also putting up more content and working with designers on how to break down private equity concepts into infographics, into explainer videos, to explain the risk, right, and potential returns, making sure that my writing is more jargon-free. But because we also have institutional investors too, so that content could be a bit more sophisticated, a bit more technical. So I think this segmentation and tailoring your communications to meet like each segment's needs is something that operating in fintech you have to make note of, right? And it's very critical to success, right? When reaching out to different audiences.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. So I know you mentioned, that you have different audiences, different segments to go. And, the fintech or the finance industry, the landscape sounds like it's always changing. Customer needs are always changing. It's a very dynamic industry, right? So considering the rate of change being very quick, what are some of the trends that that you think people who are in this industry, especially marketers, should keep in mind when developing their strategies? And if you could, maybe you could also share, what are some of the ways that you personally can adopt, to keep in line, or aware of the current trends or the market needs that are always changing, where the information comes from. Do you actually also attend specific conferences, for example, or what kind of resources that you actually employ to actually come up with your strategies?
So I think the first part of your question is about the trends, right, in fintech, and what should the marketers take note of. So I think so this trend is here to stay, and it has been around for some time, which is really personalization at scale. So I think the advances in AI and machine learning can enable fintech companies to personalize marketing messages and offers at this unprecedented scale, right? And I think it also goes beyond addressing a customer by like their first name. So it involves tailoring the content based on customers' like past like historical interactions, their preferences, financial goals, right? And it can enhance the customer's engagement and conversion rates. Then what I noticed about fintech is because fintech is very broad, it also includes the Web3, the blockchain space. So I noticed that, a lot of these players, they utilize community marketing. It's very interesting to me. Well, I'm not personally using this tactic at Azalea, but one thing that I find to be fascinating is how these companies are able to push products and services by having this nurturing this community, right? To build relationships and engage with customers at a deeper level. Like, for example, I think Revolut, right? They have this community forum where users can discuss like features and things. So they grow this community, right, to foster loyalty. And I see that with this US investment app called Robinhood as well. They have very active, people trading on their platform, especially during the COVID time. And so, they also have this like peer-to-peer learning platform. So it's all community-based. So it seems very exciting. So that's one thing for those operating in a more consumer-focused fintech segment that you can, think of to leverage on. Then I would say on the investment side, I see that consumers are increasingly looking to also, not just consumers, but businesses too, are looking at this ESG thing. So on like private markets investing side, I do see there's been a huge interest in impact investing. And so in Azalea, right, for example, we have like a sustainability fund. And I think how we can apply that to other areas of fintech could be, incorporating some of these ESG themes into your marketing strategies, right? And, highlighting your support for underserved communities or developing features for them, and highlighting some of your sustainable business practices. So I think that is like quite expected now of businesses these days. And then I think the second part of your question is around resources. How can one, find out about these trends? So I think Singapore being like a hub for fintech, we are actually very blessed to have a lot of these conferences happening in Singapore. And just a few months ago, late last year, there was the Singapore Fintech Festival. So I would encourage people to attend that conference, right? And to get to know the latest technologies, and then network and talk to people and learn how others are doing their marketing. And I think there are like trade passes that could be free, if you don't want to pay for the ticket. So with the free pass, you can still go in and do your networking. So that's one avenue. So I think in terms of maybe upskilling in digital marketing. So I think for those looking to transition right into digital marketing right now, I would say start with foundational courses, of course, in digital marketing, right? To understand the basics, like platforms like Coursera or Udacity offer these courses. And Also, Job Street and the likes of LinkedIn, like Job Street has an e-learning platform. I think it's called SeekMax. And you can access, this educational content, right, grouped by various like functions. And so you can like study up on digital marketing fundamentals, get certified, right, through Google Ads, Meta, or like HubSpot's inbound marketing certification. Those are valuable. I think for Fintech specifically, I would look for certification covering topics like blockchain, digital currencies, payment technologies. Then hands-on experience, again, I think it's invaluable, right? Engage in internships or volunteer for projects or even manage small campaigns to apply what you've learned in the real world. So if your friends or family have a small business and you could like manage their social media page or generate a blog or video content, or even like help them to run Google Ads, on a small scale to test and learn and familiarize yourself with the media landscape and the platform. But I guess for anyone looking to, for people who are already practitioners, right, looking to advance in digital marketing, I would highly encourage you to integrate AI into your workflow. So get to know the AI tools, so you can reap the benefits of having, AI as an assistant versus like as a threat, right? Like, oh, is AI gonna replace my job? Gonna take over my task. I see it as no, it wouldn't exactly, but it's going to make your workflow more efficient. It's gonna make you more productive. But so the key is to get AI to work with you and not against you, right? By learning the tools. Like experiments with the large learning models like your ChatGPT, the Google Geminis, like Jasper. For generative AI creative tools, look into Midjourney for image generation, Runway, Sora. Sora is actually not accessible right now. I think it's from Google. So I think those are video generation tools. Then I think for data analysis, right? Some of these tools already exist before, right? This like ChatGPT exploded, like Salesforce and HubSpot, they have AI built into their CRMs, and social listening tools also have AI built in. So just get to understand like this AI technology better will help you to advance in digital marketing. So
Wow,
not
I'm
just in the
also learning
fintech
a lot.
space.
Yeah, I'm also learning a lot about the AI. Gonna like be right, gonna like Google all these tools now and learn from it as well. Thanks for sharing, Carrie. Okay, so I know you mentioned a lot about, the technical skills, how to upskill technically, but in your opinion, right, in every industry, in every organization, we also have stakeholder management, right? So could you touch a little bit more on the soft skills that you think are very crucial in fostering the effective collaboration between marketing teams and the other stakeholders that we work with?
Mm. Yeah, soft skills are definitely very important in the marketing function. So number one, of course, right, communication skills, being very clear and in articulating the marketing strategies, the campaign goals and customer insights to senior stakeholders and your cross-functional teams to facilitate alignment. And then active listening is also quite important, I feel, because you want to understand the like perspectives and challenges from your other departments, right? Then you can have a more productive discussion. So so communications is key. Having empathy, and I think having empathy for the other pressures that the other teams face is also quite important, right? It helps with your resolving some conflicts and to be able to prioritize the work based on the overall organization goal, not just for marketing. Then I think also negotiation and persuasion skills is key, because in marketing, as you can imagine yourself, patient, that we're always trying to negotiate for resources, negotiate timelines and priorities with other departments, right? So you know, you want to ensure that our own marketing initiatives are well supported, right, within the organizations, and balance across the balancing the needs, right, across the different departments. So negotiation skills are quite key. Then I think lastly, having adaptability and flexibility is also very important, because the fintech sector is known for its rapid pace of change. So as marketers within this industry, we need to be able to pivot strategies, right, based on any new product development or shifts in the market, or even regulatory changes. So this adaptability, you know, and being flexible would be help us kind of remain aligned with the broader industry trends.
Okay, thank you for sharing. So it does sound like, with everyone who's working, there's a lot we need to navigate. So I think what Carrie shared is definitely transferable, not just for people in marketing department, but people in a lot of departments as well. So final question from me before we move on to some of the Q&A questions, right? So you shared a lot about, navigating the soft skills and the technical skills, right? So in the midst of all this, right, how do you actually find the creative juices, and how do you actually innovate in the midst of all this? I think this is what the participants want to know. When we have to manage on the day-to-day request sort of our normal business as usual task, how do you then find the passion and the energy to actually innovate in the midst of all this? I think this is something that we all want to know.
Yeah, I think you pointed out one challenge, right, where we are always operating at a very fast pace, and there's so many different work streams that you might be involved in, so many things to do with day to day. How can you find the bandwidth to kind of sit down and think of innovative strategies? Yeah, that's a good question. So I think one hack is to kind of root this innovation, right, into your brand identity. Because fintech, right, was supposed to be innovative already, right? So if you bake that innovation into your brand identity, then it can sort of force you to always be on the forefront of your marketing like strategies or tactics, right? So any of these innovative marketing strategies should feel like a natural extension of your brand's core identity and values. So, you can just have to consider whether, this aligns with like what your brand stands for. And before you even think about some new ways or new marketing tactic, always have bring yourself back to like understand how do you understand your audience, right? So the audience is also changing, consumer preferences are also changing. So I think one key thing is always to conduct continuous research to understand your audience's like preferences and pain points. So this can ensure that innovations in your marketing strategy can meet those changing needs and expectations. And then hopefully that reinforces your brand's image as a brand, as a user or customer-centric solution in the fintech space. Then I think again testing and learning. So I think some of us in the digital marketing space will know this very well already. This concept of test and learn. So applying that to innovation, right? I think small scale pilots and A/B testing can also help you to gauge the effectiveness of your new strategy, right? And its alignment with your brand before a full-scale rollout. And it minimizes the risk, right? And ensure that this new innovation can contribute positively to your brand image. So yeah, so I would say there's one hack is to build the innovation to your USP, and then the other points I made is actually really going back to some of the basics that we know already and understanding I would still bring it back to understanding the customers' needs and preferences.
Okay, thanks, Carrie, for sharing. So we'll take some questions from the floor. So I know that during your sharing, you did share about how you do for retail investors and businesses as well. So we actually do have a question. We actually do have a question from Charles. He says that he's been doing digital marketing for 16 years in an electronic industry, and he's interested in starting in doing digital marketing in the fintech industry. So he understands that there's not content marketing to do in the fintech industry based on your sharing, and there's also about community marketing that you shared earlier. So his question is more on the B2B side, for business to business audience. How do you do the targeting for them? How do you do the demand gen, for example, on LinkedIn, or would email database marketing work more effectively?
Yeah. So yeah, at Azalea, right, we have like two customer segments. So one is the B2C, the retail. There's also the B2B, like the private wealth managers, the family offices that we reach out to, and we have also an investor relations team that manages these relationships and communications. And I work within that team as well, right? In the marketing capacity. So having a good CRM system is key, right? To track all your interactions via email and to work with your sales team, right? On the journey from first contact, right? To, further down and kind of nurturing them on to invest in the product, and then hopefully we can maybe cross-sell, upsell in the future. So I think building out that marketing journey for the B2B segment is key. Then content marketing wise, so I think earlier I mentioned that so right now we're actually, in Azalea, if I can share just a little bit, we're discussing, how can we sort of redesign this website experience also to guide the different customer segments to find what they need to see. Because you don't want an instance whereby a retail investor comes in and then they're looking to be educated on the fundamentals, but then they see very technical pieces that you've written and they get quite put off by it. So we're discussing on how to tweak our website architecture and also the UI, right, to facilitate that user journey better. Then I guess the other part to B2B marketing, a lot of times it's also about relationship building, and then this goes into leveraging not just digital channels. We also leverage on, you know, the offline marketing, right? Like events, you know, road shows. This is something that is quite important, right? With fund managers, we do these investor conferences, and as you then I would say take a holistic view, right, of marketing journey from the investors like or customer standpoint, and not just digital. So think of it as omni-channel. So touch points across digital channels like LinkedIn, events, you know, email, webinars, even like even OOH ads could be another way to brand yourself, right? There's so many avenues to reach out to the B2B also. So yeah, so I think as digital marketers, we also have to, it's on us to also have a holistic view of all the channels, right? And if you have colleagues who work on just the offline side of things, right? You have to collaborate very closely to ensure that whatever they do when it's events or whatever, you are putting that content in on your website, onto your LinkedIn. So you have to kind of work very closely together to make sure that it's a very that the end user gets a very omni-channel 360 experience from the brand.
Okay, so Carrie, you were sharing about B2B. So there's two more questions on the B2B, which I will combine together.
Okay.
So you can answer because they are more on the channel efficiency of the B2B marketing. So there's two questions. So I think to sum it up, the question is asking, does affiliate marketing actually work for B2B? Do you have any examples? Could you elaborate on how it works if you do engage in the affiliate marketing initiatives? And second question is also whether account-based marketing. Sorry, Charles, you put ABM. I'm not sure if ABM is account-based marketing, but I'm assuming it is. So in the B2B context, do you think account-based marketing, so on an account level when you market to them, do you think that's successful or useful?
So so actually we are so at Azalea, right, if I can draw from my just experience here, because in the past I have focused a lot on B2C marketing. So at Azalea there's both B2B and B2C, and when it comes to the B2B, a lot of times the marketing that we do, I would say there is a bit of a manual process still. So not everything is automated. And why is that? It's because in private market space, the type of interaction with each of our potential client is very custom. It's really custom to what they are like when we speak to a family office, right? And as you can imagine, the family offices can have very it can range from different sizes, right, to different investment like needs, to even knowledge, right, in investments. So the type of outreach communications to each of the clients is very customized. So that I would say we don't have at the moment a very automated way to put like AI behind it to automate some of these account-based marketing type of user journey. But I think the ambition is there. But yeah, because of the nature of the business, a lot of things are still manual. And I think the positive thing is that there's a lot of improvements that we can make. I don't know if I'm answering your question, so I may not be able to answer your question that directly because I'm not able to tell you whether it's successful or not. Just sharing, right, how it's being done currently in Azalea, there's still a lot of customization that has to be manual at the moment.
Okay, thanks, Carrie. So, moving away from the B2B questions, right? So the next question, I think, someone is asking more on, I think more on retail side. So for example, on retail side, there's someone who actually asked, on retail side, how would you suggest them crafting any creative campaign strategies on social media platforms? So how to leverage on, for example, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok to craft their campaign strategies for social for a retail brand, for example, like a beauty brand.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So I think for consumer marketing, definitely social media is a key pillar of your marketing strategy, right? And I think there's also some differentiation across the different social media platforms, right? Such as TikTok, then you have the more old school Facebook, and then you have like the professional LinkedIn. So just within like TikTok and Facebook, Instagram, there's a lot of opportunities to reach out to different audiences. I think first you need to conduct your user research, right? To understand the demographics of your customers, their consumption habits, and then map them to which platforms they are, that they are very active on. Then the next thing is you want to look at the format of your ads, whether it's video, and that could actually, depending on the format, it can be very expensive or it could be done cheaply. Then, and I think also leveraging on influencers is another, like KOLs is a part of this like social media push as well. So you need to find influencers that align with your brand, right? Whether it's a beauty or even a finance products. So there's different influencers that cater to the different type of your brand identity, right? Then after that, once you map that out, then it's about your campaign goals, whether it's a branding goal or is it a conversion you're trying to push for people to take an action to convert, buy something on your website. So that comes down to the very nitty-gritty of understanding the platform, buying types, targeting types, and then segmenting, right, your campaign based on goals and building your campaign ad types according to those larger goals. So Yeah, I'm not sure if I answered your question, right? So how do I leverage social media? Definitely it's a key channel that you cannot neglect from your marketing plan.
Thank you, Carrie, for the extensive sharing. I think it should be really helpful in terms of the strategy. Okay, so moving on to our next few questions. We'll be taking last two questions from the list. So, okay, next question for Carrie, right? Someone is asking, since fintech is ever changing, right? Do you think an agile approach in terms of software development is a good fit for the industry? I'm not sure whether this person's question is specific to software development or agile approach generally in terms of the processes.
Wait, sorry. I want to understand this question better. Is this question about transitioning into software development?
I think this person is asking mainly about because fintech is always changing, right?
Right.
Do the fintech industries or companies usually adopt a more agile approach in the way they develop their software and their products? And would this agile approach be a good fit with the whole methodology of the industry as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I think whether it's fintech or not, when you're building, a digital product, right? Whether it's on the website or the app, the product owner or product manager of, these product I think it's very beneficial to learn about the Scrum principles, the agile, the agile way of work, right? So that you can ship products, kind of ship products out like in a systematic manner. And then I think because agile, so I may not be explaining this very well because I'm not in software development. So this is just my understanding tangentially from it. Because you're building this in an agile manner, maybe in a different modules. So when there's new changes in the industry, then you can like quickly pivot, right? Your product or your development. So yeah, I would say having some, at least for marketers, having some basic understanding of agile way of work can also help with our own operations and workflow within the marketing team. But if you're thinking about it from a software development perspective, yeah, I think now it's possibly an industry standard to use this way of work when it comes to shipping out your features.
Okay. I hope the question didn't stump you. I'm so sorry, Carrie. Okay, so last question that we have, it's actually around high net worth individuals and how do you market to them purely via digital marketing. So this question came from someone who has actually have had experience consulting for a new Singapore-based fintech startup. So this person is asking, how do you target the high net worth individuals by purely digital marketing? Because usually these high net worth individuals, they are relatively private people. They do not have a lot of time most of the time, and they would prefer more face-to-face interactions and offline networking events, and they might not have a lot of trust for relatively new companies in the market. I think because ultimately
Yes.
it does involve investments, right? So just I think person just want to hear from you, how would you craft your strategy specifically for a segment like this with this type of behavioral patterns?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and it's also I can understand, his or her challenge in that position, right? Because when you're handling potentially millions, right, in terms of investments. I think the type of interaction that you as a brand should have is, I think the expectation is that it's a very high, very high touch now. It requires very high touch, and it has to be very, very personalized. So then how can we so first of all, reaching them through digital marketing, you have to ask, is it actually going to result in any ROI? And do they even want to be to know about your products this way from like an ad that they see, right? Like they are very busy professionals, very busy people. They tend to be, and they may not have the time to even be browsing social media, right? And the only social media platform that I can think of that these people might utilize is LinkedIn. And so in Azalea, we also have some senior management, right, who belong in this high net worth segment, and they also give feedback, right, to our team that what are their consumption habits like. And it was actually quite eye-opening for me, right, to learn this about this segment of marketing towards high net worth. So I think for the banks, they have an easier job. They already have a banking relationship with these high net worth individuals, right? So they already have that touch point, and then they can kind of nurture this client that way. And I don't think they really use not sure if they use digital marketing much in a banking context. From a private markets, like private equity marketing context, I would say right now my focus is on SEO to increase and improve the visibility of the Azalea brand. So if these people are, I think it's still safe to say that these high net worth individuals, even though they may not be on social media, they will possibly be performing some Google searches from time to time to do some research. So SEO will be very important, right, to kind of rank high and to establish your brand credibility and authority on the subject matter. But as for reaching out to these individuals via paid ads, I will have to say that currently that's not being a key focus in Azalea. Yeah, we focus a lot more on driving the organic reach through content.
Okay, I hope that answers everybody's questions. We are running out of time. We have 5 minutes left. So firstly, I just want to thank Carrie for your time today. Thank you for taking this hour out, to answer our questions and trying your very best, to share your knowledge as well. So for the participants, we do have a survey and a $10 spread voucher for you. If you scan the QR code